Hello YouTube and welcome to my channel. I am smallpups and I've never made a video like this before, but I'm hoping it comes out well and you enjoy it. If you like Ghostwire Tokyo, I think this is a pretty cool video. I like the game. I will admit that I am a bit of a weeb and Japanese culture interests me, so I was pretty excited to make this video. Ghostwire Tokyo is an amazing game and I recommend it to anyone who is interested in Japanese folklore and yokai in general. And just as a little warning, this video will contain minor spoilers. Just, you know, it's gonna show off bosses and enemies. So if you haven't played the game and you don't want to be spoiled, then maybe don't watch this video. But also, I'm not gonna try to spoil anything. I'm gonna try to keep it all ambiguous. But yeah, so let's get started. Okay, so we will start with the NPC yokai. First we have the Tengu, which means heavenly dog. I'm not entirely sure why it means heavenly dog when the Tengu are more like birds, but from what I understand, they used to look like dogs and now they've kind of, over time, it's been more accepted that their appearance is more like a bird. But anyway, a Tengu's in-game description is a mystical variety of yokai believed to reside deep within Japanese mountains. They are possessed of exceptionally high spiritual power, and any number of mysterious incidents in the mountains are often attributed to Tengu influence. One such incident is known in Japanese as Tengu Daoshi, roughly translated as a Tengu fall. This involves a tree being heard falling in the middle of the night, only for there to be no evidence of such an event having taken place. Likewise, some instances of rocks raining down on people are referred to as Tengu Subute, or Tengu pebbles. While such tales make Tengu both feared and respected, as quite capable of harming humans, there are also tales of the creatures imparting knowledge of martial arts to those humans they take a liking to. Minamoto no Yoshitsune, a famous 12th century military commander, is said to have learned swordsmanship from the Kurama Tengu inhabiting Kyoto's Mount Kurama. Still, other legends suggest humans transforming into Tengu, for example, Buddhist priests who have grown arrogant or resentful in life. After passing, those so fallen may find themselves in Tengudo, a realm inhabited by the creatures. This has resulted in an expression in Japanese referring to haughty individuals as turning into Tengu. So, a Tengu is a yokai that is essentially an anthropomorphic bird of prey. They are a large bird with a human face, sometimes having beaks and other times being depicted as a red human face with an elongated nose. They are otherwise human-shaped with a large pair of wings on their back. The Tengu are characterized as opponents of Buddhism, being ghosts of the arrogant. They are associated with pride and vanity. Next up we have the Tanuki, which means raccoon dog. A Tanuki is a mischievous yokai that takes the form of a raccoon dog. They can shapeshift and love playing tricks on humans. The first thing you may notice in traditional depictions of the Tanuki are their massive testicles. They have many uses for them, such as using them for disguises and as drums. They've been depicted as using them as like balloons to float. They do a lot with their balls. I'm not sure why. In ancient religions, Tanuki were considered rulers of all things in nature, but over time they've lost their reputation. Each Tanuki is different. Some are joyful and others are malicious. But one thing every Tanuki does is disguise as everyday normal objects. Anything could be a Tanuki. Next we have the Kappa, which means river child, and the Kappa's in-game description goes, a yokai known throughout all of Japan that supposedly lurks near rivers and ponds. Its prominence in the popular consciousness has given rise to many tales regarding how they live and interact with humans. Perhaps most infamously, they're known to drag humans into rivers where they extract their shirikodama, a mythological organ thought to be the source of a person's vitality. Once removed, the shirikodama could end up eaten or given as an offering to a superior kappa. Either way, people who lose their shirikodama become cowards, as though they've lost their very soul. Not all kappa legends are quite so grim or steeped in bodily horrors, though. On a lighter note, some kappa are known to enjoy sumo wrestling. In fact, tales of their grappling escapades have proliferated throughout Japan. Alas, the sportiness can sometimes lead to their downfall. On top of their head, kappa have a bowl, commonly referred to as a dish. This dish contains water, but losing it will weaken the kappa. A foible that can be exploited by opposing wrestlers with a taste for victory. Kappa are also famously voracious consumers of cucumbers, a habit thought to stem from an ancient Japanese practice of offering cucumbers to water gods. This in turn indicates that kappa may once have been viewed as water gods themselves. In any case, their propensity for the crunchy green gourd has resulted in maki sushi rolls containing cucumber to be referred to as kappa maki. The kappa may be based on the Japanese giant salamander, but it is not known for sure. Kappa are aquatic reptilian creatures, usually green or blue. They have a shell akin to a turtle. They have the water-filled bowl on their head, as we already said, and if that bowl dries out, a kappa could potentially die. Kappa are yet another mischievous yokai, with their pranks ranging from farting to kidnapping children and drowning them. Kappa are one of the most well-known yokai, and you can even still find some warning signs around Japan to be cautious about kappa. The Nurikabe, or the painted wall, is a peculiar sort of yokai that impedes paths. This interference can take form in a number of ways, ranging from actual physical walls to invisible ones that prevent people from proceeding on a given path. According to some legends, these barriers can be infinitely wide and prevent any kind of circumvention, whether it be walking around, pushing, or striking them. The solution is, as legends go, to use a stick to sweep the wall from below, which makes the Nurikabe vanish. So, basically, the Nurikabe is a yokai that takes the form of a large wall, and will usually appear to people during the night to block their path. It is endless, and you cannot go around it. Not much is known about the Nurikabe, as they are usually invisible when they aren't blocking roads. Some legends suggest that the Nurikabe could simply be a tanuki playing a prank on humans. Next up we have the Itan Momen, which means one bultan of cotton. The in-game description is a type of yokai that resembles a large white cloth, said to have been sighted in southern Japan. The Itan in their name refers to a unit of measurement used in Japan textiles that roughly indicates the length of cloth needed to produce a single kimono. Itan Momen appear after the sun has gone down and attack humans, wrapping themselves around their faces, obscuring their vision, and subsequently suffocating them. According to those who have been attacked by the Itan Momen, they immediately disappear if cut by a blade, leaving a splash of blood behind on the would-be victim's hand. In the past, in regions where Itan Momen were said to appear, adults would often warn children against staying out late lest they be caught by lurking Itan Momen. This was likely a testament to their fearsome reputation. This yokai can fly and will attack from the sky. They are malicious and they do try to kill. Zashiki Warashi, which means guest room child. This ghost's in-game description is a type of yokai featured in numerous legends in the Tohoku region of Japan that is said to bring luck. They resemble young children and live alongside humans in their homes. Zashiki Warashi are known to be playful pranksters, often doing things like moving people's pillows down to their feet as they sleep, or dropping their eating utensils on the floor while they eat. When treated well, a Zashiki Warashi will bring prosperity to a family. However, if treated poorly or driven out by those fed up with their mischief, their good fortune could vanish with them, bringing ruin upon the household. Zashiki Warashi are mischievous and playful yokai. They can be female or male, and usually look like a ghostly 6-year-old child. They usually wear traditional clothes, warrior costumes for boys, and kimonos for girls. Zashiki Warashi also partake in usual haunting activities such as making noises at night and whispering in the dark. Next, we have the Karakasa Koso, which means umbrella priest boy. The in-game description goes, a type of umbrella yokai with hands and typically a single foot. They possess large mouths from which they often display their prominent tongues to shock humans. Though their charming appearances are well known throughout Japan, they are incredibly rare, and a few eyewitness accounts still exist. They are theorized to be a type of Tsukumo Gami, a term for a tool that has developed a spirit after years of use, essentially gaining a life of its own and enabling it to move independently. There isn't really much history to the Karakasa Kozo, and it's widely believed to be fictitious. Others say it is simply a haunted umbrella. Next we have the ever so friendly Nekomata, which means forked cat. Their in-game description goes, in Japanese folklore, cats who live for a long time can sometimes gain spiritual power. Their tails then split into two and they transform into a type of yokai known as a Nekomata. The name itself has a partly ambiguous etymology. While Neko itself means cat in Japanese, the mata can be interpreted using different kanji, although generally it refers to the dual tails that they sport. Their spiritual power allows them to understand human language and continues to become stronger over time. However, Nekomata aren't entirely Bengen creatures, and in fact have sometimes been known to attack humans. The Meigetsuki, a diary written by Fujiwara Seidi between the 12th and 13th centuries, describes a Nekomata who appeared one night and devoured 7 or 8 unfortunate souls. Questions abound regarding why these mystical felines decided to set up shop in Shibuya, though at least one theory suggests they're trying to save up Meika to buy some nether catnip. Very cool, Nekomata. Thank you for helping us through this time. So basically, a Nekomata is a cat with a tail that forks at the end. There are 2 different types of Nekomata: those who were born in the mountains, who were born Nekomatas, and those that are the spirits of poorly treated cats, who become Nekomata. Cats are often associated with death in Japan, and the Nekomata are often given the blame. They are said to have powers of necromancy. Alrighty, next we have the Kodama, which means tree spirit. It is a type of yokai that inhabits old trees. It is said that once a tree reaches a century of age, a spirit will take root within it. As such, the sylvan elderly are often treated with special care in Japan. Should they be mistreated, such as being cut down, the Kodama within are said to bring about disaster. Tree spirits have been referred to in Japan as Kodama since ancient times. In the Wamyo Rijusho, a dictionary of sorts written in the 10th century, the term is listed as the Japanese name for tree gods. There are many conflicting ideas about their appearance. Some depict Kodama as having a spherical shape, while others suggest that they resemble beasts or elderly humans. Some legends even contend that they take no form at all, and the only evidence of their existence being the sounds that they emit. The echoes heard while speaking loudly on lonely mountains are often attributed to Kodama, which is why they are sometimes referred to in Japanese as Yamabiko, or mountain echoes. So, basically, Kodama are small little spirits that live in trees. They look akin to a tree, they usually look like wood, but they're not made of wood, and if they were to ever be cut down, the perpetrator would be cursed. The curse would bring misfortune upon its victim, and to prevent any cursings, many trees that have been identified as having Kodama, or that supposedly have Kodama living in them, they are marked with Shiminawa rope. You may know Kodama from the Studio Ghibli film Princess Mononoke. The Kama Itachi, or the sickle weasel, is a weasel with sickles on its arms. Kama Itachi have often been sighted in cold regions, and so the word by extension represents the concept of winter as a season when used in haiku. According to the legend, Kama Itachi appear riding upon gusts of winds and slash at humans with their sickles, though the victims initially feel no pain and no blood spills from their wounds. They eventually suffer massive hemorrhages and perish. Since many of these injuries are inflicted on the lower half of the body, it's theorized that Kama Itachi fly close to the ground. In another legend, a trio of Kama Itachi work together. One pushes humans over, the next flashes them, and the third applies medicine to the wound, explaining the initial lack of blood loss and lack of pain. Not much is known of the personality of the Kama Itachi other than the fact that they are little weasels and they like to steal. Okay, our next yokai is a bit of a obscure one in the game, but it is called a Hitodama, which translates to human soul. Hitodama are little blue fireballs that float in the air. They are said to be the souls of the recently departed, and they're mostly seen in graveyards and disappears soon after being spotted. One possible origin for this apparition is that they could be fireflies. But, so in-game you can see what I believe to be a Hitodama every time you use spectral vision. Hunade is another obscure yokai in Ghostwire, but it appears in the form of pale white hands and beckons people, trying to touch their faces, and it is usually only seen at night. You can see Hunade in certain dark alleyways in the game, especially around the Mitake arcade. Okay, now we have the Katashiro, or it's also called a Shikigami, which means ceremony god. Shikigami are usually invisible, but certain people can see them. They can be made visible to all by banishing them into a small white paper doll called a katashiro. Shikigami are usually conjured by someone who has risky orders to give it. They obey their creator, but if they grow too powerful, the creator can lose control of them. A katashiro is simply a traditional Japanese paper doll, and is usually used as a talisman to perform self-purification. Yet another obscure yokai, we have the Tsuchinoko, which means hammer child. Tsuchinoko are short and fat, snake-like yokai. They closely resemble an average snake, but they're very, not in a rude way, but they're very fat, they're very thick. They are mostly solitary, but they have a love for sake and will venture to get it. Tsuchinoko are nimble despite their stature. They can roll on their sides, or they can take their tail into their mouths and roll similar to the hoop snake. And this one's kind of wacky, they can jump from 2 to 5 meters. As far as I can tell, there aren't any actual Tsuchinoko in Ghostwire Tokyo, just a strange cat that you can collect that is described to be vaguely shaped like one. Next up we have the Oni. Its in-game description is an iconic symbol of fear throughout Japanese folklore, known to eat humans and commit many other acts of evil. Famous for tormenting the dead in Buddhist depictions of hell, countless stories exist of Oni inflicting pain and suffering upon hapless humans. One well-known example involves Shuten Doji, an Oni with hordes of minions who ruled over a mountain. It is said that in the 10th century he attacked Kyoto, kidnapping people and plundering their treasures, only to be felled by Minamoto no Yorimitsu. The idea of the Oni has transcended its mythological roots, permeating much of Japanese culture, language, and culture. People who are particularly fearsome and imposing, for example, may be compared to an Oni. Multiple common expressions related to the Oni also exist, making something already powerful even stronger, such as by giving them a weapon is referred to as giving an Oni a metal club, in reference to the spiked weapons that they are often depicted to wield. Another turn of phrase refers to the notion of even an Oni having tears in their eyes, alluding to how even the most seemingly ruthless and cold-hearted can feel sadness. Finally, Setsubun, a holiday held in early February each year, revolves around throwing beans in an effort to ward off Oni and bring luck upon a household. There are many different types of Oni, but they are usually depicted as humanoid creatures such as demons or ogres. Their skin is red or blue, and they often have odd numbers of eyes. They also usually have 2 horns on the top of their heads. The Oni are very powerful and are known as bringers of disaster. They are born when evil humans die and become trapped in hell, transforming into Oni. They are very dangerous, and it is usually their job to punish humans. Some humans are so evil that they can turn into Oni before they die, and they stick around to torment humankind. These are the most dangerous types of Oni. Alrighty, now we are on to the enemies of Ghostwire Tokyo. We will start off with Kuchisake and Crimson Kuchisake, which are a real yokai. They're not based on anything. They are Kuchisake Onna, otherwise known as the Slit-Mouth Woman. Her in-game description is a type of visitor born from frenzied rage. They wield deadly one-handed weapons as they hunt and butcher their living prey. Crimson Kuchisake's in-game description is a Kuchisake that wears a gruesome visage openly, having cast aside the mask that once kept it hidden. It hunts prey with ruthless tenacity, its attention ever fixed on finding its next victim. So, Kuchisake Onna is a malevolent yokai that is a tall, slender woman. She's known to be very beautiful and has long black hair and pale, pale skin. She also wears a surgical mask, which is actually common in Japan, and I guess common everywhere else now too. But she doesn't wear it for the usual reason. Under her mask, her mouth is torn open from both sides to her ears. Kuchisake Onna is believed to have been mutilated and murdered by her husband. That is why she is called the Slit-Mouth Woman. Kuchisake Onna will appear to someone walking alone at night and will ask them, "Am I beautiful?" If the victim answers no, they will be killed on the spot with her large medical scissors or other weapon. It varies. If they answer yes, she will take off her mask and present her disfigured face, and then she'll say, "Am I beautiful now?" If the victim answers no, they will once again be killed on the spot. If they answer yes, she will use her scissors to cut their mouths in the same fashions as hers. They cannot flee, as she seemingly has teleportation powers. Next up, we have the enemy that is known as Shiramuku, who I believe may be based on Yuki Onna, who is also known as the Snow Woman. Shiramuku's in-game description is a type of visitor born from feelings of profound envy and resentment. They harbor a seemingly bottomless well of corrupted power. Their outfits resemble traditional wedding dresses worn in ancient Japan. And so basically, a Shiramuku is a traditional Japanese wedding kimono. I believe Shiramuku may be inspired by Yuki Onna, a female ghost who is stunningly beautiful, tall, and has skin as white as snow. She either wears white or is nude, so she can blend in with the snowy mountains that she haunts. Yuki Onna floats over the ground and can disappear into a cloud of snow if threatened. Yuki Onna is said to be a spirit of a woman who perished in the cold snow. She often appears during snowstorms and can breathe icy breath to freeze her victims. So, if you haven't played Ghostwire, or if you haven't had the misfortune of encountering a Shiramuku, they have ice powers, so that is why I'm kind of connecting them to Yuki Onna. Because they're just called Shiramukus, and a Shiramuku just by itself is a traditional wedding dress. So, I think they might have been at least inspired by Yuki Onna. Next up, we have the Shrine Dancers, and I love these little dudes. They're based on a Teruteru Buzo, and in turn of being based on a Teruteru Buzo, they are also based on Hiyoribo. And Teruteru Buzo means shine shine monk, and Hiyoribo means weather priest. Their in-game description is a type of visitor born from a sense of resignation felt by those whose desires go unfilled. They quickly descend from above when they spot a victim and attack relentlessly. A Teruteru Buzu is a small Japanese doll made of white cloth or paper, featuring a round head and a sheet-like body akin to a stereotypical ghost. Teruteru Buzu are made to wish for good weather, usually hung upright. They can also be hung upside down to wish for rain. Teruteru Buzu is based off of Hiyoribu, a yokai who brings the sun and creates good weather. So our last enemy that we have is the Lamentation, which I believe to maybe be based on Harion Nago, or the Hook Girl, and maybe also based on the Teke Teke. Her in-game description is a type of visitor born from the isolation of those cut off from friends and family. They hang in midair as they wait for their prey. Harion Nago is a female yokai with extremely long hair that has thorn-like barbs on the ends. She can control her hair and uses it to trap men. When she finds a victim, she will smile at him, and if he smiles back, she will attack. She usually appears at night, and until provoked, only resembles a regular woman with messy hair. These yokai disappear at sunrise. Now, Teke Teke is an urban legend in Japan of a girl who was cut in half by a train. She returned as a yokai and crawls on the ground using her hands and elbows, making a Teke Teke sound, hence her name. She has many different origin stories, but almost all of them include her getting cut in half by something. She is incredibly fast, and if she catches you, she will rip you in half in the same fashion that she is. So obviously in Ghostwire, the Lamentations shoot little barbs at you with their hair. That's why I'm talking about the Harion Nago. And The only things she has similar to Teke Teke is that she has no legs. But yeah, I believe she might have been based on both. So next up we have the main antagonist of the game, Hanya, which means wisdom. His in-game description is a mysterious man wearing a Hanya mask as seen in No plays, believed to be connected to the mass vanishing that has taken place in Shibuya. He grievously wounds Akito before whisking his sister Mari away. In order to reunite with his departed wife and daughter, he performs a ceremony at a shrine located in the restricted area of Kirigaoka, which summons giants into the mortal realm. Now, a Hanya is a female that is consumed by jealousy in her life and transformed into a demon. So, he's not an actual yokai, he's just wearing the Hanya mask. And Hanya masks are characterized as being harmful and demonic, but also sorrowful and tortured, depending on the angle they are viewed at. Byotara, otherwise known as Ko Omote, may be based on a Huon cat. The in-game description is a massive beast visitor that was born when an accumulation of animal spirits transformed Ko Omote's physical body. Byotara is a sickly, large, cat-like creature with 3 tails. It wears a Ko Omote mask, hiding its face. The Ko Omote mask represents a pure young woman. I can't find much about Byotara. There are many cat-like yokai, but none are quite like her. There's a Chinese legend about the Huon cat, which is a regular-sized cat with 1 eye and 3 tails. But that's all of the similarities. It just has 3 tails. Otherwise, I think this is a completely original design. And if you know more about the character, then it makes more sense. Tsuchigomo, otherwise known as Okina, is based on, you guessed it, Tsuchigumo, or maybe even Jorugumo. Tsuchigumo means earth spider, and Jorugumo means binding bride or whore spider. Very mean. Her in-game description is a massive visitor born from the psychic energy produced by Okina and other nearby humans. Its form is the result of corruption brought about by lingering illness. Its spiritual energy levels are extremely high, and its enormous body is especially durable for a visitor. Tsuchigumo wore an Okina mask before transforming, which is particularly sacred. It represents longevity and brings prosperity to families. Tsuchigumo are said to have the face of an oni, the body of a tiger, and the legs of a spider. It supposedly captures travelers in strings of webs and eats them. Jorugumo is a yokai that takes the form of a spider but can change its appearance to look like a beautiful woman. When disguised as a woman, the Jorugumo's reflection will still show a spider. All they really want to do is eat humans. The Jorugumo can also weave webs, and she traps her victims inside of them, much like Tsuchigumo. Sojutsuki, or otherwise known as Yasei Otoko, I believe is based just off of an oni. His in-game description is a large humanoid visitor born from Yasei Otoko. It can manipulate ether, enabling it to grapple and perform ethereal weaving attacks. So, as I said, I believe that Sojutsuki is simply based off of an oni. It is a giant humanoid with red skin, wild hair, 2 horns, and oversized teeth. It wears a Yasei Otoko mask, which represents a ghost suffering in hell. So, we already talked about onis, so yeah, that's my thoughts on on him. Okay, so we're getting into a little bit of a spoilery area, so if you don't want to be spoiled for the final boss of the game, feel free to skip. But so the final boss is Han Ngun. His in-game description is an enormous monster born from what remains of Hanya and the spiritual remnants of the puppets he created with his forbidden arts. In all honesty, I cannot find anything pertaining to the Hangon. It is, but I can tell, a completely original creature design. It is large and powerful with many gaping mouths, perhaps representing Hanya's greed. It wears the masks of all the bosses on its several faces. And to be honest, when I see him, I think of No Face from Spirited Away. But yeah, that's all I really have to say. So that is it for my Yokai of Ghostwire Tokyo video. Like I said in the beginning, I've never made a video before. All of the video on my YouTube channel is just stream highlights. But if you enjoyed, maybe check them out, because yeah, lots of fun over on Twitch. Don't forget to check out my Twitch. And I should have 1 or 2 more Ghostwire videos coming out of a compilation of clips from me streaming the game on Twitch. But so yeah, if you enjoyed, maybe check out my other videos, check out my Twitch, and subscribe. And you know, that way you will be letting me know if you enjoyed this type of content and if I should make more. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.